Hey, I'm Rick Pierce. This year I've jumped back into the B.A.S.S Opens. I'm going to fish Division 1. Got ready with the first tournament boat I've actually built myself in a while. So I got the 250 Pro XS on this Puma STS. I decided to go Puma STS this year, just a little bigger boat. So we're out here at the Pierce Deer Farm, and we drug this out of the barn. So we thought we'd just kind of go through a couple of the items and sort of step right into the boat here and go through what we got. We got 360, and I've done something different on the 360. We've mounted it on the back of the boat, and I've built special brackets, and I mounted them on a power pole. So when I drop my power poles, my 360 is in the water. It's going to keep it off the bow, so I don't have it up there cumbering myself and a lot of material on the front end. I've got 2 units on the dash. I'm running a Humminbird Solix. I'm also running an ACS 9. And the reason I made those selections this year, all my electronics, I've made selections, just like I said on a podcast. I've made those selections because of resolution on the screens. So we did processor speed, resolution on the screens. So I'm running Solixes. This is Solix 10s, front and rear. I've also got the ACS 9 Live on the dash. It's set up on side imaging on both units. So I have 2 side imaging pucks on the back. On the front of the boat, I'm running a Solix 10 up there also. I've got it on a ram mount. So it's not got any fancy mounts. I've just got it on a large ram. And I can tuck it to the deck when I tow, so it's out of the way. And also when I run, I can get it down out of the way so I can see around it. The Garmin, I'm running the 8610. I did that for the same reason. So that Garmin unit, the reason I'm running that is that resolution on that screen. And I've got my live scope tied into Dave Davis's DD26. I've got it tied into the live foot. So the other unit I got on the front is another ACS 9. All those are maximum resolutions in the smallest screens. So really what I'm about here is the resolution. The number of blips in the screen's the same if I go large or small. So I've got a really clean picture on these units. I'm running the Active Target 2 on a power pole move, and I've got the 47-inch move on the front. I don't have the long one. So we're running the 47-inch move on the front. Got my power pole button split apart, so it's set up. This is completely tournament loaded right now, just like when I fished the top 100s or a really serious competitor. It's been about 25 years since I jumped in hard. So basically I fished them serious for a number of years and then wound up kind of jumping out of it and played with it a little in 16, 17, 18, but this year I'm going to fish one division, try to fish all of them. Hopefully I'll leave out of here in the morning and head to Okeechobee. We can get this down. So this boat is built to the colors I want. I've set it on a 5-inch frame. I do not have the brakes on it. I just didn't need the emergency brakes for what we got here for parking brakes. So I've got it set up. Of course, I don't have the dip net in it now, but when I come home and I fish home, I'm going to have a dip net in the scabbard. So that's a really handy thing on this model. So back to the back, I've got this open for my partner. Under the seat right here, I've got some tackle. The tool side is over here. The back of the boat, in the back box, I've got it loaded, and I keep all my extra plastics in bags. I did used to use tubs, but I've gone to bags. It just takes less room. So I've got a lot of stuff in the console. The console's loaded down with tackle. It's loaded down with spare hooks. I've loaded down with a whole bag of trailers. I keep spinnerbait trailers and actual trailers in there. So I've got spinnerbait skirts, trailers, extra treble hooks. I really carry too much stuff, but I've got it all in here if I need it. And when you get out of town, you never know what you're going to need. One of the things you might notice, I've got, I keep things around the boat. I keep bungee cords handy. So this is a bungee cord. So when I go up to a dock, I can just snap up to a dock and connect myself. And as long as it's not too rough, they really work good. So I've got bungee cords on both sides. I've already got the front end wrapped. So this is my tie-up ropes. I've already got one on each side so that when I tie up, I've got my ropes handy. I can just undo this and tie up to anything short. I can't make a long tie-up. I keep short ropes on them, and they're just a little cord that'll hold it for parking, just for temporary use. So I'm going to crawl up in the boat, and we're going to give you a little tour inside the boxes, and I know they're going to look cluttered because they are full. All right, so right here, I'm in the middle of the boat. I've got my cooler. I generally use this cooler. I use one for trash, use one for cooler. So this is a cooler I generally use. I keep my candy bars in here because that's what I do during the day. I don't do sandwiches. I do Almond Joy. Done Almond Joy for years. That wasn't a plug for Almond Joy. It's the truth. But anyway, this is where I keep my tools. These are handy. These are my 2 cutters, and I keep snippers on a carabiner. Pull them out if I want, leave them in. I've got my pliers handy, extra pliers. I keep my file in my glove box. We're gonna pop the lid here. This is the way I've got this sorted. So I've got Plano boxes on sides. I put a couple down flat to get my boxes up. And I don't use one particular size of box. I use all sorts of boxes. So I use little ones. These are standard Poes, these are weighted Poes. So I've got old-fashioned 400 Poes. David, you'd be proud of me. This is my box with some swim baits and swim bait heads and Demiki rig heads and things like that. I've got a terminal tackle box. I've got all my stick baits in here, what we call stick baits. Those used to be called sick baits, by the way. So I've got stick baits. We're headed to Florida. Got my Johnson Silver Minnows. I've got my, this is a good one. So I got my Giant Slayer and actually lunker lures. I've got a few jigs in here, no doubt. This is the general plastic I'm gonna need from one day in Florida. So I've got all my day I'm gonna start with right here. This is what I'm planning on throwing when I get there. It may not work out, but I'm trying to be there. I've got other things in here. I've got all kinds of, you know, you wanna talk about Poes, this is all Poes. This is just how I tend to run when I run. So this box right here is mostly Lucky Craft. I've got a little bit of everything in here. I've got a swim bait box with some eels in it. I've got a little bit of everything. I tend to try to run it. Of course, you can't leave home without taking your wiggle warts. So I got 2 boxes of wiggle warts in here. Everything is really well sorted out. You know, for example, here is my Strike Kings. So I've got all my Strike King crankbaits right there. So I'm tuned in, I'm ready to go. I've got all my tackle laid out. I know one of you wanted to see how I laid these boxes out. On the right side, I do have 2 terminal tackle boxes. One that's got some lead in it, and all my hooks, all my sinkers are in those 2 boxes. So I've got 2 true terminal tackle boxes in there, not including that jig box. On the front end, I've tucked up front some of my bag swim baits and things, because you got the boxes with swim baits in them. They're tucked in the front. I got my Shasta bass baits in the front. I've got ospreys, I've got trout baits, I've got all that in the front. So I've got Huddleston type baits up there. You can see I've got an osprey hanging on the, that's actually California swim baits right there. I've got that hanging on the lid, so I'm ready to go there. Then you can reach in here. Here's another Lucky Craft box. And I've got, these are all set up. I've got center bait boxes. This is some 6 cents baits, a little bit of everything in there that I thought I would need. I've kind of reorganized. This box is, these are my, I got my tray swim baits in here, so I've got swim baits. Just really kind of packaged out the best I could to get the tackle throughout the boat. So we're gonna pop this here so everybody can just kind of see the rod box. So when I go into the rod box, this is just the way I've got it laid out. And that I have 3 rods that are stick bait rods, what I use. And those stick bait rods, it's kind of funny. This one's got the, as you can see, the fancy reel on it. It's 5.5s. I use 5.5s for twitch bait, stick bait, jerk bait. I believe the bait moves too fast on a 7-foot rod. So I tend to use shorter rods on my stick baits. I've got my spinning rods over here. This is just part of my rods. The other ones, this box is empty other than a couple of tackle packs. And I'm gonna set the rest of my rods on top over here. I'm running a lithium setup this year. I'm doing some unique things I'm playing with my setup. I'm running Power Pole Charge. I've got Pro Guide lithiums. I got their cranking battery in here. I've got a backup on it. So I actually connected a 50 amp lithium to my main cranking battery. So if I have an issue during the day, I can flip that on and just kind of back up power. On the front of the boat, I did something really unique. I'm not sure how it's going to work out yet, but it looked like after the one time I've tried it, it worked out well. I've got a 360 watt inverter converter on the front. So I'm flipping it off my 36 volt. So I'm pulling my 36 in, putting 12 out to boost the front end. So I should have no power issues on any of my units this year. I've got everything supported. That's kind of it. I mean, this is a quick go through. Everybody's got to know how everybody sets them up. I've got my small lifting on the right side. On the left side over here, behind the gas tanks, I've got my throw cushion in the very back. I've got a tow rope in the back. I keep a cord in the back, so I've got power cords, tow rope, everything in the boat on the left side. So the main center console is not used right now. I got sunglasses to throw in that. Other than that, this thing's ready to go to Florida. I got my numbers on it. We're hooked up, leaving sometime tomorrow morning. Guys, I want to thank Kenny Patterson for coming out here to the farm and filming. I know he came out. We wanted to give this walkthrough on the boat, talk about the things I had on my boat. We get a lot of questions on how do you set your boat up? What do you do? Well, to be honest, I haven't set one up for myself. I've run a lot of boats, but not one that just truly was going to be mine, because I've got tackle in, tackle out, and I have literally worked about 80 hours getting my tackle in order after having it in so many boats over the years. So this is the first boat I've had in a number of years that's dedicated just to me, and I just am really looking forward to having a good season in it. I appreciate everybody signing up. We're going to go see if this old body can go catch fish this week. Thank y'all very much, and I hope you enjoyed and learned something from the video.